Have you ever fallen, tripped, slipped, made a mistake, found yourself in a situation that, man, it seems like it's difficult to get out of? Well, this morning, we're talking about I've fallen and I ought to get up. I've fallen and I ought to get up. Well, good morning, everybody. It's time for Morning Manna, and I got a word for you on this morning. Trust when I tell you I have a word for you on this morning. Want to plant it into your soul, your spirit today for the balance of your day, how you're going to get through the day. Part of it is going to be with morning manna. I certainly hope so. And what I need you to do right now, share the manna. Don't keep it to yourself. The text, the talk, to take away 5 minutes or less. I'm going to get right into it. Greet a couple of people, and then we're going to get it rolling on this morning. Good morning, Angela. How are you? Good morning, Brenda. How are you? Good morning, Ella. How are you? Good morning, Betty. How are you? Anitra, how are you? Ella Lawson, how are you? Ella Jan, good morning. Sister Audrey, it's good to see you Sunday. Man, it was really good to see you. I hope the word bless you on this past Sunday. Anna, how are you on this morning? Jacqueline, how are you on this morning? Michelle, how are you guys on this morning? Now, you know what? This morning is all about I've fallen and I ought to get up. I've fallen and I ought to get up. Okay, let's get with it. The text to talk, the takeaway, and here it is. Here's the text. John 5 and 8. John 5 and 8. You already know it. Hear it again for the first time. This is the story of Jesus who is come to the pool of Bethesda. The pool of Bethesda, the place in which people gather to be healed. It's called that because of the five pools that are around it. And there is a significant understanding that when the water is troubled, you should get in it and get healed. You should get in it and get healed. Well, guess what? Guess what? When Jesus rose up on this, he finds a man that had been there for a number of years. If you remember yesterday, we were talking about the woman who was bent over 18 years. Now we're talking about something just as significant. There's three things that I see in that text. The first is this: the length of your condition is no excuse for the condition. The length of your condition is no excuse for the condition. Put that in the chat area right now. I know that many times you say, well, you know what? I've been going through, I've been dealing with this, that, and the other. I've been up against it. I haven't had more money than month for a long time. I've been dealing with this relationship for a long time. And many times, because it is something that is valid, the length of the time has a great deal to do with what you're going through, but it is not an excuse to remain in that condition. The length is no excuse to stay in that condition. Here's the second thing is that make sure you're not playing the victim or being victimized. Make sure that you're not playing the victim card or being victimized. Tough word, tough word. But sometimes what happens is, woe is me, for I'm undone. Look at what someone has done to me. When you look at the man at the pool of Bethesda, he's crippled. How does he get there? How does he get there? Clearly, somebody brings him there. Somebody is victimizing him. Hey, I need you to come over here. I need you to beg. I need you to get that little can out and start asking for some money and make sure that you get some, because all of us needs to get blessed on your situation. Make sure that you don't play the victim, and make sure that others are not victimizing you. I suggest and I argue that his friends that brings him to that pool every day do not have his best interests at heart. Here's the third thing. The third thing is this, and it really has a great deal to do with what Jesus does. In the first several verses before we get to the eighth verse, you will find that Jesus has gotten the 411 on him. Jesus has looked around, asked questions about him, and Jesus says, I know your condition. In other words, I know the situation that you find yourself in. I understand it. I get it. And the thing that I get is that you keep coming up with these excuses about how you can't get into that pool before everybody else. And you blame everybody else for your condition, for your situation. Jesus said, look at here. You are the victor and not the victim. Get up. That's the third thing. You are the victor and not the victim. No one has confronted you. Is it a miracle here? Or is it a confrontation of the situation that causes him to be able to get up? Think about it. It's not just a miracle here because he says, get up, get up. What has happened? He gets up and he picks up. This is your takeaway. He picks up the thing that has been holding him back. Notice that. He says, pick up your mat. Jesus could have just simply said, get up. But he gives him an additional thing. He says, pick up the mat. Why? The Greek for the mat there is the thing that had been holding him. You've been there too long. It's time to get up. You've been there far too long. It's time to get up. I've fallen and I ought to get up. Hey, the Lord be with you today. His face shine upon you and give you peace. Make sure that you share this manna. If it bless you, bless somebody else. Don't keep it to yourself. Bye now.